Okay, let's dive right into it, shall we? Hello, ¿qué tal? I'm your host, Abel, and this is the Rava Podcast, where we are dedicated to expanding the collective mind by sharing our thoughts and experiences in hopes that we find healing and give ourselves the permission to embody who we truly are. This episode is meant to reintroduce myself to a space familiar to me, although I may be new to you, dear listener. I won't recount to you the many times I have recorded this introduction. But you can trust that it was enough to shame and embarrass me in my desperate battle against perfectionism. You know, back in 2018, I started the It's Definitive podcast, and I was lucky enough that one of my soulmates, one of my bestest friends, joined me on the journey. It was short-lived, but the podcast was flowing pretty naturally, and we were receiving great feedback until the departure of my beloved from the podcast. And she's still with us. She's not dead, but due to an increase in her workload, she had to remove herself from the space. That left me with a big hole, you know. Without her, I didn't have the commitment to myself that I needed to keep publishing episodes. Without someone to hold me accountable, without something to answer to, even if I didn't have to answer to her literally, I faltered and caved to my ego. That voice that I have always fought against, it dominated me. The voice that has always put me down, it won the battle. Not only did it win the battle against my first attempt of coming back to content creation, it won many others as I attempted to overcome its stranglehold of perfection around my neck. I would start a project and inevitably leave it behind. The voice used perfectionism as its crucible to boil me down to nothingness. Every time I was stripped, every time I felt worthless through the struggle, every time I was left with nothing to show for the time spent rattling my head of how to perfect an audio clip or a video. Now, the origins of my own flavor of perfectionism is obviously rooted from being the firstborn to my 19-year-old immigrant mother. I was the first to be born to a family that migrated from Dominican Republic to New York City in the 90s. And I'm not going to mention any of the influence my Ecuadorian roots has had on me, because to this day, it's still very unclear. So, you can only imagine the insurmountable pressure I was under to carry the torch of my family's success on my shoulders and hold my head up high and never complain while carrying on. Most of these family dynamics remain implicit, specifically now, present day, in how we function or dysfunction as a family. In many ways, I was a co-parent, specifically to my sister, not so much to my brother. As I got older, my responsibilities grew. I was asked to help around the house. I helped my siblings with their homework. I took care of them while my parents worked until they got home, all while maintaining a suitable enough GPA that would keep my family from noticing me more than I wanted them to. You see, I grew up knowing I was queer, and this queerness was evident to me at the young age of 3 or 4, I can't really remember. The first moment that still lives in my brain, it's like etched into my psyche, is that I remember wanting to kiss Jonathan Taylor Thomas so bad. And this is specifically the I'll Be Home for Christmas VHS movie cover. I remember just looking at those lips and saying, I wonder what they feel like against mine. A puta since I was a kid. This crazy. I knew then, though, that I had to hide my queerness from my family for my own protection. And subconsciously, I became a victim of queer perfection, as many of us do, in order to feel like we matter, in order to feel like we're worthy. We strive for perfection to feel worthy. Do you know how often I felt unworthy of existing? Especially growing up in a religious household, more times than I care to remember. Enough for it to still affect me to this day. How crudely I would judge myself if I was too feminine in my walk or in my speech when my father addressed me. As I recall all the negativity that I swallowed because I feared being displaced from my home, I feel it now. I still feel it. Because I feared what my queerness could have caused me to lose, I strived for the best thing that I could be. So, yeah. The intersectionality of my identity has been the perfect recipe for the type of insidious perfectionism that has kept me stagnant and fearful of putting myself, my truest essence, out there into the ether. Doing this, of course, places the gaze of the world on you. This is something that I have run away from all of my life because I wanted to feel like I could live, and in order to live, it meant that you had to hide. Now, don't get me wrong. The high expectations that were placed on me, they molded me into what I am today. Goodness, it has begged of me a level of success and astuteness that distinguishes me from my peers. I know this because I experienced this. Because of it, I am independent. Because of it, I am resilient. Because of it, I am strong. But I also embody the polarity that comes with perfectionism. I am hypercritical, discontent, oftentimes. Well, I would say most of the time, because I have a high standard here. I feel like I'm stagnant because I have not met an arbitrary standard of what my art should look like, what it should feel like. When art is all of the human imperfection that we run so dearly away from. Needless to say, I have failed my inner child in fulfilling his desire to commit his life to the arts. I have instead dedicated my time and energy to fulfilling money and comfort. This particular fact is really hard for me to admit. This new journey, all of the new media in development, is my attempt to remedy that disappointment. It is my hope to be the person I dreamed of as a child, to unabashedly follow the desires of my heart. As sad as I get speaking on my childhood, as hard as it is for me to revisit that place, I still feel an immense gratitude for it. It has sculpted me into a voracious seeker of knowledge, a being dedicated to learning and to growth. This is what I hope to share with you. A passion for learning, a love for self-evolution, and of course, a dedication to being all of you, not just the fragments that society has told us are the only acceptable ones, but all aspects of ourselves. Those that we find awkward, those that we have been told are annoying or ugly. It is my hope that by sharing of myself, sharing my perspectives, and the perspectives of the guests on this podcast, that somehow you feel seen, you feel heard, you feel understood, and that like-minded humans exist. And they're not too far away, that you aren't alone. Above all things, this podcast is meant to help give you the permission to be yourself fully. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you for listening. I hope you join me again as we explore a range of topics, anything from current events, beauty secrets, mysticism, anything and everything is up for consumption. We are under capitalism, after all, so consume away. And my hope is that you find within this space a refuge from the outside world, that you learn, that you laugh, hopefully, and with any luck, you may even cry. You can find me here and many other platforms becoming the best storyteller I can be. Yeah. I wish to share with you these stories through my rants, my reflections, conversations, and philosophical meanderings that we will explore. So please, 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 please join me every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern for new episodes. Let's create a community together where we can learn and love. Thank you for listening. Ciao.